I will now call the March 5th Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. I will now take roll for determination of a quorum. Mr. Cridlin,
Here.
Mr. DeSalvo,
Here.
Mr. Riley,
Here.
Mr. Shorter, Mr. Spradlin.
Here.
All right. We do have a quorum. Moving on to the election of officers. Let's see. The floor is now open to receive nominations for chair. Do I hear any nominations?
I would like to nominate Rick DeSalvo.
This is not a rotating position.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time, but I think I should give somebody else the opportunity.
Well, Steve, you've been on the board here a long time, too. I'd like to put Steve's name in the nomination if he's interested.
I would rather for you to do it, Richard. Honestly, I wouldn't mind staying vice chair, but I would rather see you as our chair.
So to keep this formal, can I get a motion for that nomination in a second?
So
Second.
moved. Yep.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
It's called railroad.
Yeah, really.
Hearing none. All right, we will take a vote. Let's see. All in favor? Aye.
Right.
All right.
I guess.
All right. And then, so Mr. DeSalvo, you'd like to chair.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to vice chair. Do I hear any nominations?
I'd like to put the...
Oh, all right.
Okay, do I hear any motions for a vice chair?
Any nominations?
I nominate Steve Spradlin.
I would like, I don't know if I should second or not, but I am going to second it, since he offered. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
All right.
So am I taking over the meeting at this point? Okay. All right, the next thing on the agenda is approval of the May 1st minutes from 2025. Do I hear a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, the motion to approve by Mike Riley, second Steve Spradlin. Any discussion? Any corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye. Aye. Unanimous, again. Old business. Is there any old business to come before the board?
There is none to note.
Okay. And next item on the agenda is new business. Do we have any new business?
Also, no new business.
Thank you.
I will say for the other, I'll go ahead and say that BZ8 trainings through VCU are available in May. You will be required to take that if you can. The dates are May 4th and 5th, and then there's a follow-up date on June 29th. It is virtual. It is, when they are sessions, they typically are all day. The payment is on us. We'll pay for that. So we can coordinate more with that. But that invitation to take that course is also open to anyone else that may want to take that training or maybe just a refresher.
And you said it was virtual, it's all online?
Yep.
Okay,
So if you are interested in that, just let me know.
okay,
And we can go from there.
thank you.
All right, that's all I have.
Under other, we have zoning code enforcement update.
Good evening. I'm going to have to stay around the mic, so forgive me if I start moving away. Just let me know. So I'm very excited to come here and actually teach you all and the public as well about our zoning compliance process. I've been here for about a year and a half now in this position as the zoning compliance officer. The Montgomery County Code 1052 authorizes me to assist the zoning administrator in his powers and duties. That was amended of April of 2025. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Laura K. Rogers. I am the zoning compliance officer, as I said, for the county. Prior to this, I was in law enforcement for 11 years. I ended that at Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, did a little lateral transfer over to the county, and I've been learning zoning for a year and a half. It's been new to me, and we've got a great team, and we've built a really successful program, in my opinion. So I am now a certified zoning administrator through the Virginia Association of Zoning Officials. Now, mind you, I'm not the zoning administrator. That's Jude, my boss, but it was really great training to have. I also got to do a really cool training in November through VIATA, the Virginia Independent Automobile Dealers Association. It's a long one, sorry, VIATA. And so I actually learned about independent dealers, who are people who typically, businesses that sell used cars, but there's also new cars as well. So it was a really informative training. I was one of the only zoning people they've ever had there. So it was a really cool perspective, and it will hopefully serve us well as we move forward in a potential zoning ordinance rewrite. So my duties are pretty long but fun. I get to enforce the Montgomery County Code 10, which incorporates all of our zoning ordinances. I also help enforce conditions, proffers, and decisions of you all here of the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Planning Commission, and the Board of Supervisors. I am to conduct yearly inspections of rezoned parcels with proffers and also properties with special use permits to make sure that they're doing what we have asked for in the proffers or conditions that were set forth. One thing I want to definitely make sure that I note here is like conditions are incredibly important for us to know, and the language of that is incredibly important because, for example, if a business has in their conditions they can only operate Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, we don't have the authority if they come to us to kind of do any kind of wiggle room. But we do have a couple of special use permits that do have that, a little note at the end that says, you know, if you want to extend your hours, you need to ask the zoning administrator. So just wanted to make note if we move forward with other special use permits that our language is important, not to be too specific but too vague, always finding that fine line, right? If a special use permit is inactive for 2 years, it is null and void. I'm hoping that we can work together soon to try to start addressing some of those. Just some knowledge, SUPs do go with the property, not the owner. And I do have 2 current zoning compliance cases that do involve special use permit properties. The big part of my job and what's done a lot of my work lately for the past year and a half is investigating zoning complaints, and I'm also managing all those cases through our zoning compliance process. As well, assisting the zoning administrator in their duties, and everybody loves this one, all other duties as assigned. It's been fun. So we have a lot of complaints that we get. The most common are that people have constructed something in a flood zone or in a floodway. Inoperable vehicles, junkyards, as well as somebody building something with no permits, setback concerns, as well as unpermitted short-term tourist rentals or bed and breakfast inns, and there actually is a difference. What we don't do, so I do get a lot of complaints that there are some things that do not fall within the zoning ordinance that I can't touch. I do try to refer them to other agencies that can do something or get them resources, but what we cannot do, trash. That is a code compliance officer from the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Powers, that is under his purview. He also deals with overgrown grass, improper burning, and none of us really deal with abandoned property. Now, if there is a zoning issue and there's something that we can enforce, we'll do it. But we get a lot of complaints sometimes of things that we just can't handle. Our ultimate goal is compliance. We're trying not to be punitive. We have a process in place that is actually really unique in Virginia. As I've went to conferences and spoke to other code compliance officers, we're one of the very few counties that actually give the opportunity to have a moment or have some time before we start sending a zoning violation. A lot of other places just send out a zoning violation immediately without giving an action or an opportunity to speak and correct it. So our violation process goes like this. We first start with a zoning complaint. We then move to what we call a letter of inquiry. We'll go into then the first violation notice letter, a final violation notice letter, a criminal summons, and then court. And I'll break these down for you here in just a little bit. So the caseload, right now it's just me as the only zoning compliance officer, and Jude, he is the zoning administrator who has his own duties to do. We thoroughly investigate them in tandem, and we make sure that there is fairness in each case and completeness. So it can take several months, if not a year or more, to reach compliance. Delays can unfortunately occur in active cases, such as processing time for engineers or surveyors if they are required to get that type of material. Staffing, it's just me, and I like taking a vacation occasionally or I get sick. Citizen crisis, for example, if somebody is having a medical emergency, we don't want to push them when they're having those type of crises. Weather. Weather is our biggest kicker. We don't want to have people out there cleaning up their property or doing something of that nature that might endanger themselves. We've had quite the cold, wet weather, but we also had a really wet and hot summer. So we try to be as mindful as we can of that. Since I started this position, I actually have to change the numbers because as of yesterday evening, I had a couple of number changes. So cases as of when I started in August of 2024, I've had 85. I have currently 38 cases, and we have closed out 47 cases since I've been here. So I'm going to start explaining our first step, which is a zoning complaint. So there are many ways that it can come in. We prefer to have it written if possible, but we also understand that some people don't have that ability to do so. So we do try to make it accessible. During the intake process, we'll do a bit of a preliminary review to see if it's a valid complaint, if it's something that's unfounded, or if it's something that I need to direct to another agency. All complaints, though, are logged. If it's not within our powers, I will try to do what I can to provide them resources or refer it out. The complaint is usually put into a queue unless it is a high priority case, and sometimes it jumps right into being active. They are sorted by the urgency of the complaint, and then we will investigate to determine what the next steps are. My current queue is actually jumped. It is now 28. And just as a note, these numbers for my queue are not in the 85 I spoke about earlier or in my active cases. So if you were to combine both of those, 38, 27, I believe that's 65 that are pending. All together with my caseload. Again, the queue though, as much as I hate to, I'm only one person, and a lot of these cases take a long time sometimes to go through and to get compliance. This is the zoning complaint form we have. We have switched to a new permitting software called OpenGov. We're hoping in the next couple months we'll be able to switch our zoning complaint form over to there. But for now, anybody and everyone can make a complaint via this form. There is an option at the bottom if you wish to be spoken back with. We try to do what we can to protect your information, but sometimes people know, or there might be court filings that have to have that discovered. So next we have our letter of inquiry. This is the unique thing that Montgomery County does, along with a couple other of 8 counties and towns within Virginia. So it's the first step that we like to take in notifying them of the zoning concerns or violations that they have on the property. It is informal, but formal because it's part of the process in order to try to get voluntary compliance and start working with them on getting a compliance plan. It can be verbal. It is not always a letter. If, for example, Deputy Powers and I have both gotten a complaint, we'll go out there and somebody approaches us at the property to talk. That's a great opportunity, instead of sending a letter, to have that direct conversation with them to say, hey, here's what I see, and here's how we can work forward in moving together to get this solved. As with every stage that we have, It can stay at this part of the process as long as what we call significant progress is being made, which is where they're taking the steps to get the permits. They're doing what they can to clean the junkyard. I have currently, this number has also changed, I have 26 active cases that are at this stage. But we have actually historically closed most of our cases here at 38. It's been a great opportunity to educate citizens and to have my own education as well. This is the template that we've created that shows kind of what we would typically have in there. And we are very much into working with you. I have a county cell phone that rings, and which I'm excited about. Quite frequently, people can message me pictures, whatever it needs to be, but we want to try to be as accessible as possible. Next, if, for example, the letter of inquiry or we've moved past that step, if they haven't made significant progress, we will then go into the first zoning violation. So it is the official first notice of that zoning violation. We typically do a certified USPS delivery, but sometimes we do personal service. I'll go out with Deputy Powers or another individual to serve them, depending on the case. It lists the violations, we cite Montgomery County Code, and we also note what is needed to correct the issues. We also attach a copy of the site inspection photos that I've taken. We'll do our aerial photos from GIS. We also have created the zoning violation timeline, which I'll show you here in a minute what that is, and any other relevant documentation such as emails, text messages. This gives them 30 days to comply and or file an appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals. That's you all. So far we've been not having an appeal, but it's good for you all to be here to kind of understand what we're doing with it. And if we get an appeal, it'll be great to go through. Again, it may stay at this stage for a while. I currently have 9 cases in the first zoning violation stage, and we've closed 7 since I've been here of August 2024. So to show you an example, again, this is a template that we have. We try to make as much as we can with our language uniform. Again, every case is unique and has its own circumstances, but we will insert that where we need to. At this point, we also loop in Marty, who is our county attorney. I always speak with Jude about it. He's clued into all the cases that we have. And it's a pretty lengthy letter in a packet, but we want to try to give as much information as possible.
Is this letter hand-delivered by a sheriff?
Pardon?
Is the letter hand-delivered by a sheriff, or how is it?
We usually go in tandem, so that way I can explain to them the process of how that goes. And one of the things that I strive to do is to let them know that they do have the right to appeal if they have questions. And we don't issue a zoning violation without already giving that letter of inquiry to say, so they're well aware, hey, I'm a part of this, let's work together. But it gives another opportunity for me to be like, hey, here's where we're at. We're, kind of up in the ante. Let's work together while we can.
And it can also be mailed.
Yes.
And they sign for it.
Yes, USPS certified.
It's certified mail.
Yeah.
That way we know that they received it.
Correct. Yeah.
We have a zoning violation timeline, which has been really helpful because sometimes I talk to somebody weekly. And when we're talking within 6 months, I've spoken to them weekly, we're talking about 24 instances. So every time that we have correspondence with somebody, it's documented. And you can see on the left, it says date, and the info, it'll be the third person of whoever what, and it'll explain in detail what that is, what the situation was, what was said, what was talked about. If after 30 days they have not reached significant progress and they've not appealed, we will move then to the final zoning violation notice. Again, we will either have a USPS certified where they sign off on it, or we'll do personal service depending on the case. Again, we list the details of the violations, we cite the Montgomery County Code, and we also give them, again, what is needed to correct the issues. We attach everything as we did before, just updated pictures, updated videos, whatever it is. They have then forfeited their right to appeal to you all, and they also now have 7 days to comply. Again, it can stay at this stage as long as significant progress is being made. Currently, I have 1 case right now And we have not closed any at this stage. I'm hoping this one will be our one that we get to close, but we will see. Again, this is an example of the template that we have for the final violation notice. All right, so if unfortunately compliance has not been reached on the property at that point, we then move to obtaining a criminal summons. We file a criminal complaint with a local magistrate stating the probable cause of the case. Probable cause is very simple for me as former law enforcement, but I realize it's not always for everybody else. And it's just the facts and the evidence to justify a summons to be issued. That's all we're talking about. We're not trying to prove guilty or not. We're just giving the facts of the case. It is a Class 2 misdemeanor summons. We always go for the owners, and if applicable, we also go after tenants. We do waive jail time, and that is important. And then we set a court date for 30 days upon issuance of the summons. So we will go out, let's say the 15th, we'll be in court April the 15th. If they are not served their summons, they have their rights, and our case is postponed until they are given ample notice to get whatever they need squared away. If compliance is fully reached prior to us going to court, we can ask the judge in the court to dismiss the case. Current cases I have at this stage are 1. There were 4 summons issued. We have issued, since I've been here, 15, and unfortunately we have not closed any at this stage. And go ahead.
Just one quick question relative to the criminal part. Why is this criminal and not civil?
So it is because of what is in 1052 of the Montgomery County Code, where it authorizes and states that that is a criminal offense.
Code by,
Yes.
okay, is that mandated by Montgomery County or by the state?
I'm going to defer.
You can do either one, but if you can't do both. So currently we do criminal, but if the code was changed, we could do civil as well.
Okay. Does the state mandate that, or is this just through Montgomery
The state
County?
says you can do one or the other.
Okay, okay, okay. So is it cleaner criminal, in your opinion?
The proof can be more difficult, but there's more hammer.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely. Because we kind of do civil-ish, I would say, before we get to this point, where we try to work with them way prior to it.
right.
So we're trying to get to everything. And I'm always very open and frank with people. This has the potential to go to court if we do not reach compliance. And it's not what we want to do. We're very clear with that. That's not what we want to see happen. But it's the steps that we have to take, unfortunately, sometimes.
Okay.
Good question, though. Good question.
Thank you.
It was also my question when I first came here. So at court, Marty here gets to represent us in court. The burden of proof is on us. As I like to tell the students I've taught, you get one chance to do a criminal case. That's it. The burden of proof is on us to prove that they have done this beyond a reasonable doubt. Marty was talking about the standard of proof. For civil case, it's preponderance of the evidence, or the 51% rule. Much easier. Beyond a reasonable doubt is more difficult, because it would have to be that there is zero doubt in your head. So that when I start a case, I always think, do I have enough to beyond a reasonable doubt that I can take this to court? Otherwise, it's something that we typically are like, nope.
Yeah.
Like any other court session, the defendant will enter a plea. They'll either enter an innocent, guilty, or a no contest. You know, all the sides are going to present their facts, their evidence of the case, testify, and then a judge makes a ruling. We've had a couple of court cases, and so far, Judge Duncan and other substitute judges have basically given them one warning, saying that you need to work with the county, you need to do what is necessary to get into zoning compliance. They'll set another court date for us to come back to. And if they've reached compliance before then, we can dismiss the case. We have yet to reach one where they didn't reach compliance yet, but the judge has been pretty stern if we have to come back there's going to be consequences. We do not ask for fines typically, and I'm looking at you. Yeah, we're not in it to, penalize people. We just want, again, that ultimate goal is compliance. We just want the zoning compliance. Again, if they do work with me, and we've had somebody literally the morning of reach compliance, we will ask for the case to be dismissed. I do have one case right now. It is 4 people with 2 charges per person. We have had 2 cases closed since I've been here of August of 2024. We've had 3 so far, and potential 4th.
Now, do the dynamics of this change if the defendants at some point in time would lawyer up?
It could be, yeah.
Have you had that situation to happen any?
Yeah, we did, but, I mean, generally, we don't go to court unless what we would say be a slam dunk. Like, there's, the only way a lawyer would get involved would be to try to work it out, maybe.
Or an appeal.
Or try to get them to cooperate.
Okay.
Because generally, if there's any,
Hey, Marty,
it's not clear, we're not gonna go.
do you want to come up here so you're on record?
So typically not. I have not had that happen. Again, Bree, our director, and Marty have been here longer. There was a system in place before me for doing the zoning compliance. So they have way more experience. But so far, we haven't had that happen. And if we have it happen, we'll work it out and figure it out. But very good question. I'm here for the questions. So a case closure is important. Again, ultimate goal is compliance. So we've made a template of a case closure letter. Because if we give you an official letter saying, hey, there's a problem, we should probably give you an official letter to say, hey, we've closed the case. It feels kind of nice. So we will send out a case closed letter that says this has officially been closed. Thank you for your cooperation. We have closed 47 cases since I've started here. Again, a majority of those being the letter of inquiry stage. And this is just a template of the typical letter that we send. We will make niceties because, again, every case is very different. Now, questions and comments? I love it. You can ask. Do you have anything to add, Jude?
Not really. I would just say, again, we're only going after compliance. That's the only thing that we're seeking, and we will try anything within our power, within reason, to help people get there.
Absolutely. And we provide, we've got a long list of resources. So I have a giant packet because there are unfortunately some really sad circumstances that people are in, and we are asking at times a lot. We can't go down there, we can't clean up for you, but here are some resources for you. If you need food, here are some resources for you. We've worked with other departments for animal control, an adoption center. If somebody needs to house their animal during cold weather, we can work with them. But again, it's only what we have within our power. But once we get to that summons and court, it's for the most part kind of out of our hands at that point.
Is this process initiated the majority of the time by citizens filing complaints and not, say, you riding out somewhere in the county and seeing something? Is it the majority of the time citizens?
Yes, sir, it is. It is mostly driven by citizen complaints.
Okay, with that being said, are we somehow making a system that causes one citizen to be against another citizen? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And it gets difficult because you're talking about most of the time neighbors, right? Yeah, exactly.
Are we creating a situation like that where that can happen? And that concerns me if that's what we're creating.
I would say most of the time, if that situation does arise, it's already come to fruition.
Yeah.
And it's a delicate dance for us to walk and try not to, upset one person versus the
Right.
other.
And I guess on the other hand, what I would ask is, say if you have a neighbor who maybe says, I don't like that neighbor. I'm gonna turn them in for something and try to create something. If you do the investigation and you come back and say there's nothing, are there any negative repercussions back to that person who first filed the complaint?
No.
Or are they all scot-free?
It wouldn't be like if I was a police officer making a false police report, right? We don't have that. There's nothing like that. I say unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, it's both lines. So far, we have not had somebody continuously, but we will document it. And if there is an issue like that, we'll bring it to Marty and we'll kind of speak about how we move forward.
I just don't want us to create something here where, you're causing neighbors to, or you got some busybody that wants to ride around on Sunday afternoon
And I'll also say,
view things and just say, well, I'm going to turn this, and they may live on the complete other side of the county. And then, yes, it's something to do with zoning, but in reality, it's none of their business.
right. And on the flip side of that, you have people that don't want to cause confrontation, but they hate that eyesore that's next door.
Which, yeah,
So they will reach out to us hoping that we can do something to help them in this
Right.
situation, but not, create conflict with their neighbor. And a lot of the times, me and Laura were discussing a property today where we can't see the violation from the road. We are not allowed to walk onto that property without their permission. So we have to be from a public right of way. And sometimes there are situations where we cannot visibly see the violation. So we will actually talk to the complainant and say, hey, can we come on your property to take photos? And there's sometimes where they will say no because they don't want to create that conflict. So it can be challenging for us too on the opposite side of that.
And we've had a couple, because usually I try to give updates, but people also send them in anonymously. There doesn't always need to be contact information left.
right.
Because
So-
up until court, it is anonymous.
Yeah.
We will not give a complainant's name out. But sometimes when court comes around, we have photographic evidence that we provide to the person in violation, and they could clearly figure out, whose property the photo was taken from. So it's something that we're always mindful not to create conflict or get in the middle of some sort of dispute.
Yeah,
Right.
So
because
we're constantly thinking about that.
yeah,
Okay,
I mean, we've had, to my knowledge, one case where it was definitely a tenant versus landlord issue more than it was a zoning issue, and so we stepped out. So we were very cognizant of that, and having both of our backgrounds and Marty as well, we are always doing a very delicate dance.
Yeah, this I could see is, especially in the more rural areas, I could see this being very touchy.
And this, this is not an easy job or an easy task by any means.
No.
And Laura does a great job.
You do too. It is a team effort. It really is a team effort. I couldn't do my job without him and without Marty and even without Shelley. So it really is a big zoning team effort. And Marty, you're part of the zoning team too.
I guess, just for instance, like junk cars or cars that aren't tagged. What is the county code for that?
So it's an inoperable vehicle. And correct me, I'm looking at you. And 104113, and I know this because this is one of our most frequent. You can tell with former law enforcement when I'm reciting the code. There are rules and regulations. So agricultural and residential, you're allowed to have one inoperable vehicle. That can get pretty tricky when we're looking at businesses of that kind of sort, but that is where that goes to. And it's going to depend on what your property is zoned as. And, some people might have, let's say, a current inspection sticker, right? But their plates are gone. And the way that I tell them is if you roll off this lot, you roll off this property, and a cop could pull you over and write you a ticket, it's inoperable. That's, I think, the most basic way that we can put it. And there is a definition of it in 1061. I'm not going to lie, I can't cite that off the top of my head.
And then, once those inoperable vehicles pile up and you have 5 or more, then it becomes technically an automobile graveyard, which is another violation.
So is that the threshold for a graveyard, 5 or more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do have a few automobile graveyards, but those are a while back, and they have to do some special licensure with the Commissioner of Revenue.
Yeah.
But I think it's a special use permit in a couple of districts, but I don't think we've had any FUPs for that in a while.
But junkyards are probably our number one violation that we get. And a junkyard can be anything from inoperable vehicles or a combination thereof with junk and debris. So just
Yeah.
trash,
Discarded appliances are a lot of them, discarded furniture.
mountains of refrigerators and dishwashers and things like that, you know.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot of unique stuff. I tell them every day it's very similar to my previous job in law enforcement. It feels sometimes like I haven't stepped a day away because there are some things that we see, and I do make light, but there are some hard things that we've seen too. And so we try to do all that we can, and as a team, we really do all that we can to help out the citizens.
Yeah. And Laura, you know, her saying that sometimes she has gone onto a site and seen things that need more attention than just zoning, and she will direct the proper people, you know,
Okay.
to that property.
All right.
You know, health, safety, and wellness, right?
Yes.
Thank
Or
you.
welfare.
Thank you.
You have anything to add? Okay.
Well, thank you, Ms. Rogers.
No, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
all. I appreciate it.
Very well done.
Do you want the gavel?
No, thank you. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Staff, thank you all. Appreciate the education tonight.
Yes.
All right. Hope we see you for dinner next year, too.